Good morning. Proverbs chapter 3, starting with verse 4. And so find favor and high esteem in the sight of God and man. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not into your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your paths. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and depart from evil.
Thank you, Jonathan. Pastor has asked me to fill in for him today. My title of the sermon today is Listening to What God wants us to do. We're going to be talking about Jonah. So we're going to be in Jonah. So with that, I'm going to just go ahead and get started. I don't know how else to start. This is my first time doing this. But most of us know the story of Jonah, but I figured this is something that we all could relate to. So in Jonah 1:1, it says, Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah, the son of Amittai, saying, Arise, go to Nineveh, that great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah arose to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare and went down to go with them to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. And I forgot to mention that I'm also reading from the New King James Version. It's a little bit easier for me to read. So the first 4 verses it says here is that he's running away. He had a command from God to go to Nineveh and preach. Stand against the evil. But he did not. He went the opposite direction to Tarshish. I bet all of us have been told to go somewhere, and we decided not to go there. I'm going to go somewhere else. So we all can relate. But let's keep going. Verse 4 it says, But the Lord sent out a great wind on the sea, and there was a mighty tempest on the sea, so that the ship was about to be broken up. Then the marines were afraid, and every man cried out to his God, and threw the cargo, and was in the ship into the sea, and lightened up the load. But Jonah had gone down to the lowest parts of the ship, and had laid down, and was fast asleep. So the captain came to him, and said to him, What do you mean, sleeper? Arise, call on your God. Perhaps your God will consider us, so that we may not perish. And they said to one another, Come, let us cast lots, that we may know for whose cause this trouble we have come upon us. So they cast lots, and the lots fell on Jonah. When they said to him, Please tell us, for whose cause is the trouble when upon us? What is our occupation? Where do you come from? What is your country? And of what people are you? So he said to them, I am a Hebrew, and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and dry land. So now, a great storm has came. The ship is about to break. The sailors have tossed the cargo off the ship and prayed to their gods, while Jonah is at the bottom of the ship sleeping. It's hard to believe that he's there sleeping. Then the captain went down to talk to Jonah, to find out information about him. And Jonah told him, I am Hebrew, and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, that made the sea and dry land. Can you even imagine what is going on? How bad the storm was? And all the men were afraid. I bet you have been afraid of things going on in life. I know I have. But God always gets me through it. Let's move on to the next part. Verse 10. Then the men were exceedingly afraid and said to him, Why have you done this? For the men knew that he fled from the presence of the Lord, because he had told them. Then they said to him, What shall we do? You, that the sea may be calm for us, for the sea was growing more tempestuous. And he said to them, Pick me up and throw me into the sea. Then the sea will become calm for you, for I know that this is a great tempest is because of me. Nevertheless, the men rowed hard to return to land, but they could not, for the sea continued to grow more tempestuous against them. Therefore they cried out to the Lord and said, We pray, O Lord, please do not let us perish for this man's life, and do not charge us for innocent blood, for you, O Lord, have done as I please you. So they picked up Jonah and threw him into the sea, and the sea ceased its raging. Then the men feared the Lord exceedingly and offered a sacrifice to the Lord and took vows. The men knew it was Jonah's fault that the storm was there. They didn't want to throw him into the sea. They tried to get back to land, but could not. They had no other choices but to throw Jonah in the sea. Then the sailors feared the Lord and offered a sacrifice to the Lord. They finally realized how powerful God is. What was Jonah's thinking right then in the sea? I would say, I'm going to die. Why did I run away from God? Now, the cool part comes. Verse 17. Now the Lord had prepared a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. That sounds like a whale to me. Do you know how gross that had to be? We could ask ourselves, is there anything he could have done to prevent this? Let me look back. God told him to go to Nineveh, but he went the opposite direction. He ran to Tarshish. He actually took a boat. Well, I guess if he would just listened to God. So we're going to move into chapter 2. Then Jonah prayed to the Lord, his God, from the belly's fish. And he said, I cried out to the Lord because of my affliction, and he answered me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice. For you cast me into the depth, into the heart of the seas, and into the flood surrounded me. All your billows and your waves passed over me. Then I said, I have been cast out of your sight. Yet I will look again toward your holy temple. The waters surround me, even to my soul. The depth closed around me. Weeds were wrapped around my head. I went down to the mooring of the mountains. The earth with its bars closed in behind me forever. Yet you have brought up my life from the pit, O Lord my God. When my soul fainted with me, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer went up to you. your holy temple. Those who regard worthless idols forsake their own mercy, but I will sacrifice to you with the voice of thanksgiving. I will pay what I have vowed. Salvation is the Lord. Wow, that is a great and awesome prayer. We've all been there when we've messed up. Remember, God is always there. But remember, there is consequences for not listening to the Lord. It could be small things. It could be a big thing, like being swallowed by a big fish. But let's get to the best part, verse 10. So the Lord spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah onto dry land. Well, he made it back to dry land with a little vomit on himself. I'm not going to read any more from Jonah today, but but he ended up preaching in Nineveh. I'm going to encourage you to read and study the next 2 chapters. But before I'm done up here, I wish I would have listened to God much sooner than I did. Most of you don't know that I almost left this church beginning of the year. God was talking to me, but I was not listening. I was getting tired of not seeing any changes in the church. I was upset that the church was not growing. And I thought I was mad at the pastor because he wasn't doing his job. I had a big talk with him. Then I realized I had no one to blame but myself. I was not listening to God. I never thought I would be doing Bible studies weekly. I never thought I'd be meeting with pastors once a week, sometimes 2 times a week. I never thought I'd be doing a men's Bible study once a month. I never knew I'd be going to another Bible study once a month. But since I started listening to God, things have been changing. I've seen this church grow now. I've seen more unity in this church. And I finally realized that it wasn't all pastor's thing. We are a part of the body of this church. If we do our part, things will change. Just think if we all were listening to God, how powerful would that be? We would be seeing more changes. We would be stronger in the faith. I know I am. You ask, is it easy? No, it's not. Because Satan sneaks in the back door and tells us, it's okay, someone else will do it. Or they won't miss you. Push through the temptation and listen to God. Step out in faith. I know I had to. When we do, He will get us through it. And I will leave you with this passage, Isaiah 55:8. For my thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither are my ways your ways, said the Lord. Come on, church. God is talking to all of us. Are we listening? I went back and forth with that message. I talk with Pastor weekly, not daily. We both got busy schedules. He didn't tell me what to do. He didn't tell me what to preach on. This is what I see in the church. I see the more we are fellowshipping with each other, the stronger we are in faith. When we have stronger in faith, gives us more unity together, it gives us more strength to go out there in the world that we need to be discipling to. That's our job, is to tell the world what God has done for us. So, that's all I have today. And we're going to have a little song that we're going to play, that if something's on your heart, come up and kneel, pray, give it to God. When you do give that to God, God will take it away from you. He'll show us a different way. Our way might not be His way, but He's got a plan for all of us. And when we follow that plan, it's much easier than trying to fight Him.
Thanks for joining us today. We would love to have you come and visit us at Calvary Baptist Church. We're located at 1808 I Street, LaPorte, Indiana. Service times are 9:30 a.m. for Sunday school, 10:30 a.m. for the main service, or check us out on Facebook at CBC LaPorte.